Hey there everyone, this is Caitlin, aka Scribble Sketch here. RWBY Volume 6 is finally finished and we are entering a RWBY hiatus until later this year when RWBY Volume 7 will hopefully start. But while we have some downtime, I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to finally make some RWBY related content for my channel. I've wanted to make some RWBY related videos for a little while now, but I had no idea exactly where to start. Reactions are pretty well covered in the community already, and I wasn't quite ready to do reviews on an episode by episode basis. So, I thought I would just start with my general thoughts on the volume as a whole. Now, I will say that overall I did enjoy the volume, and I'm insanely proud of the work that RWBY have put into the show this volume. But while I did enjoy the overall story and everything, there are one or two points that I felt could have maybe been addressed better, or just slightly tweaked. Once again, this is only my opinion, so I am neither right or wrong with this, it is just my general thoughts, but I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on the overall story and pacing of this volume. Things you liked, things you didn't like, drop a comment. In the meantime, let's start with the good things. I would have to say the first 6 episodes were probably my favourite part of the volume, and they felt really strong to me. The intro episode was a very good opener, giving us a brief wrap-up from the previous Haven arc, as well as preparing us for the journey to Atlas. It did feel bittersweet to say goodbye to both Sun and Elia for now, because I adore Sun a lot, and I had really grown to like Elia as well. Sun did mention that he and his team will be heading to Vacuo, so maybe whenever Team RWBY make it to that part of Remnant, we'll see more of them. Though I have no idea when we'll see Elia next, as her destination wasn't exactly made clear in the slightest. She just has some new mission to help the Faunus. But hey, at least she finally has some comfy clothes to wear, so more power to her. The goodbyes with Blake to Elia and Sun did feel good, and I can only hope we don't have to wait long before we see these characters again. On another note, I did enjoy the Grim fight on the train. We haven't really had a good Grim fight with a complete Team RWBY in so long, so this was so satisfying to see the girls working together again. Another high point for me would have to be the revelation of Oz and Salem's past. Just as I had hoped, their story wasn't just a simple black and white tale of good versus evil, it was way more complicated than that, as life is and should be. Of course, there was a lot of fallout after this episode, specifically the great battle online over whether Ozpin was right or wrong with his part in the story, but I don't want to touch upon that in this video for now. I'm going to save that for another video entirely. After all, I'm trying to cover the positives here at the very start. Theories on the old world of Remnant were proven or disproven. We finally got to see the ancient gods as well as the origin of the Grimm. We found out how the relics came to be, what they all looked like, and we discovered the power of the Relic of Knowledge. To get some answers was rather satisfying after we as the fandom were left wanting these answers for some years. Some people were happy and some weren't satisfied with some aspects of the Lost Fable, but for what it was, I'm happy we finally had some context to the ancient feud between Oz and Salem. Out of all the new Grimm to appear this volume, the Apathy were probably my absolute favourite. It's not an enemy that can be overpowered by sheer numbers, like the combined team did on the train. This is a different breed of enemy, more dangerous than perhaps even the powers of the Maidens. It doesn't discriminate, as most Grimm don't, but the fact that they get into your head, they are literally fighting you without you being aware of it. That was just a brilliant way for a Grimm to deal with its prey. And while RWBY did learn how to overpower them by finally using her eyes on purpose, you never got the sense that the Apathy were dealt with. Yes, the farm was burnt down and left to rot, but for all we know, those Apathy are still out there in the woods, hiding and just waiting. And finally, one other favourite point I wanted to bring up was the Adam versus Bumblebee fight. My goodness, seeing Yang's bike get yeeted into Adam was just beautifully satisfying. You could really feel the impact from that shot, and I was seriously rooting for Yang to finally conquer her feelings over facing Adam once more. Some people have had mixed opinions on this fight in particular and its outcome, but from my perspective, it was one of the best choreographed fights within this volume. You had Yang and Blake doing their team attack, Blake learning to think on the fly on how to use her broken weapon, and then Yang figuring out a way of fighting back against Adam without letting him gain advantage through his semblance. Finally getting to see her semblance in the new engine was a sight to see. She just looks stunning, even if it was just for the briefest second. Hopefully, now that she has come to understand that though she doesn't need to rely on her semblance, she needs to be more thoughtful on when she really does need to use it. And now, the part that probably a lot of people aren't looking forward to in this video. The parts that I didn't actually like. This is always going to differ from person to person. That's the beauty of different people enjoying the show. They are looking for a range of things, and not all of our tastes are going to be the same. That's what makes this all so unique. But what was it that kind of rubbed me up the wrong way, so to speak? Well, the first would have to be the lack of villainous presence. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not including Cinder or Neo in this example because they did get their time, albeit it was very short. No, I'm talking about Salem's inner circle specifically. In Volume 5, you felt like they had such a bigger presence because we were building up to this big attack against Haven. Here, they are kind of licking their wounds, and what do we get? Barely anything from them. We get exactly 3 short scenes from Salem's side, and besides the brief conflict between Emerald and Mercury, it felt so lackluster. I question why the villains were even included in the intro of the volume, because for all intensive purposes, they really did nothing. I know they are recovering from a failure, but come on, there was no sense of urgency from their side. I didn't get the sense that they were living up to all the hype that had been building up. They reached a stumbling block in their big master plan, and what, they have to cobble together a new move? Did they not have any foresight that anything could actually go wrong? No contingency plan? And don't get me started on Watts. Of all the bad guys, I'm seriously still questioning what, hey, get it, he is doing here. Yes, I know he is the tech guy of Salem's faction, but aside from harassing Lionheart last volume and making some snide remarks behind his mustache, what is he doing here? How does this disgraced Elysian scientist get roped into this grand evil plan? Oh, he built Tyrion a new tail. Big deal. Why is he not just some underling like Torchwick? Why is he privy to all these grand schemes? I just hope we get some kind of information in Volume 7 about this, because he and Tyrion are heading to Atlas now, and I need some context on why this guy is such a threat outside of his obvious skill with technology. Even the after credits scene of the finale brought up another question in my mind. We are left to believe that Salem is now getting serious. Woo, she's made those flying monkey grims. She really is the Wicked Witch. But that just makes me think, why has she not stepped in any sooner? We got an explanation as to what Oz did over those countless years he was reincarnating, but what was Salem doing all this? Why was she not out there in the world of Remnant, hunting down the relics if she wants them so bad? She is magic, presumably more than Oz at this point, and she's clearly powerful if she was once considered a god. Why did she wait this long? If she has some control over the Grimm, why isn't she sending them en masse to the kingdoms to ensure no peace and stability among humans? I'm glad that she is finally upping her game, but I can't help but wonder what took her so long to get into gear. Another aspect of the volume for me is that I felt the inner team conflict in Argus just felt a little bit forced. I know that they probably made the cliffhanger of Oscar disappearing seem a lot more serious, but in all honesty, how long was he gone? No more than a couple of hours at most, so why did this problem have to be dragged out over 2 episodes? Heck, Argus doesn't seem that big of a city/town, so how did they not bump into them in that entire time? It could have been resolved within 1 episode, but then we wouldn't have Ruby confronting Crow as another episode cliffhanger there. Plus, the finale of the entire volume just felt very underwhelming compared to, say, the previous 2 episodes where they fought Cordovan. Maybe underwhelming isn't quite the right word, maybe anticlimactic is a better way to describe it. Ruby finally gets a chance to shine. She's going to use those silver eyes on purpose. She is going to protect life. Yet despite that build up with that beautiful song in the background, the Leviathan doesn't freeze up like the Wyvern. I'd like some explanation on Ruby's eyes a bit more. We need some actual context on why she can apparently completely freeze the Wyvern, yet not the Leviathan. Was the emotion not raw enough? Was she just concentrating too hard? If Cordo didn't come in to pierce the heavens with her drill arm, that Grimm would have chomped down on Ruby and the Relic of Knowledge. But those are the only aspects that I have a huge gripe with. Overall, I enjoyed this volume, though I feel like if I had to rate it compared to the last one, I would pick 5 over 6. Don't get me wrong, both are very close in terms of enjoyment for me, but the lack of any substantial progress from the villains, as well as the stalling in the second half, may have lowered it in my ranks. Now though, we have some time to wait till Volume 7. Of course, the Volume 6 soundtrack will hopefully be out soon, but in the meantime, all we can do is sit and wait for the journey to continue. As I said before guys, these were all just my opinions on Volume 6. Mine are going to be different from yours. What were your highlights of the volume? Is there anything you wish happened differently? Leave a comment below because I would love to hear from you guys. If you enjoyed this new kind of content from me, then let me know as well. I want to maybe make some more RWBY related videos during this hiatus. Till then everyone, please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you all later. This video was made possible thanks to patrons such as Craig McCutcheon and Neko-Senpai, as well as super patrons like Lithy.